Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Social Media Reacts here on Cluiche. My name is Seamus Brady. This is episode 11 of the Social Media React series, brought to you by the guys at Capture Athletics. If you need any sportswear or athletic wear or leisure wear, Capture Athletics are the people to check out. Link them down. Make sure you have a look at them. They're mentioned on our story, which you would have watched through this video here. So let's crack into the weekend. Of course, if you're new to the series, what it is I take a look at 10 tweets from some of the biggest GA personalities, their reactions to the weekend's action, and basically weigh in with my little 2 cents on their opinions as well. So of course, this last weekend was bonkers. There was so much going on. There's no way I'm going to cover it all in the 10 tweets that I've highlighted here, but there was no doubt what game everybody was talking about. The Cork and Limerick game here. This first tweet is from Marty Morrissey. Marty says, "This is Porky Queeve right now. Cork beat Limerick and remain in the championship. Cork love their hurling. Privileged to be here with Shane McGrath and be part of the Saturday Sport team on RT Radio 1. So that's Marty's immediate reaction there. And I've never seen a shot that good. Like the minute that Patrick Horgan hit that ball for the penalty and it hit the back of the net, just bang, the whole Cork crowd behind the goal. You could see it like wave up to the back. That everybody was just like, whoa, like the atmosphere looked extraordinary in Porky Queeve. And since it's been renovated, like a lot of people have been saying, Cork have needed a game like that in Porky Queeve for a long time. And it was one of the best games of hurling I've ever seen. I definitely would put it right up there in the top 3 games I've ever seen. Cork and Limerick in 2018 was, oddly enough, another one that I would put down there. I thought Galway Clare in the All-Ireland semi-final in 2018, Wexford Tip in the semi-final in 2019. We have just been spoiled for hurling action over the last 6-7 years. It's been extraordinary. Eddie Brennan weighed in on the game. He said that game has to go down as a contender for the match of the last 15 years and more. Definitely one for the annals of Munster hurling. There's no doubt about it. Like, it just had everything. It had Cork starting off so well. Cork were in such a dominant position at half-time, but with Limerick, everyone and their dog knew that Limerick were going to come back in the second half. Like, literally, everyone knew Limerick were going to come back. That's how good Limerick have become. Gráinne McElwain, quality presenter with GA Go, she asked the question to John O'Dwyer at the end on the GA Go stream. She was saying, like, what was different about Cork's response versus Tipperary's response in 2021. And I personally think the answer to that question is Tip would have had no idea that Limerick would come at them like that, with that level. Cork knew fine well. I'd say Pat Ryan was laying it down at halftime. This is not over yet. Limerick are going to come back at us, and Cork were ready for that. Now, of course, the key moment was the Kyle Hayes foul on Shane Kingston, which led to Patrick Horgan's penalty. Buff Egan puts it up here, said penalty or outside. Now, it was outside, but the rule is correct. It was definitely a penalty. Kyle Hayes was just rugby tackled him down to the ground, and Shane Kingston was gonna get a shot at the goal. Whether you think he was gonna score or not doesn't matter. The only reason why there were Limerick defenders around him when he hit the ground was because Kyle Hayes had dragged him down. He would have got past Hayes and he would have had a shot at Nicky Quaid. Would it have gone in? We'll never know. But I think it went from being like a decent goal scoring opportunity to pretty much like a certain goal when Hayes pulled him down, because you knew Patrick Horgan was going to score. And I mean, like Pat Ryan talked about it, man, come with the hour, come with the man. And like Patrick Horgan was the best man. He fired it across Nicky Quaid. If he hits it that way, Quaid can just stick the bat out. But when he hits it this way, Quaid has to turn his whole body. Very clever by Horgan. Incredible finish. Absolutely rifled it into the net. And as I said, Porky Queeve absolutely blew up in celebration after that. My good friend Matthew, who was on the show last night, big shout out to the Gaelic Statsman. He said, not a bad time to be from Cork. Cillian Murphy wins the Oscar. Bambi Thug gets Ireland's best Eurovision finish since 2000. And the hurlers beat the 5-in-a-row chasers in a rocking Porky Queeve. Certainly not a bad weekend to be a rebel at all. And they've definitely shook up the All-Ireland Hurling Championship. And like, that's the thing, is Cork have made their mark on history. Because Limerick are standing on the gates of immortality, if they complete the 5 in a row, or even if they don't, this season will be remembered for a long, long time. And the fact that Cork have beaten them in a packed out Porky Queeve, which that probably will be the game of the summer. Like, it's going to be very, very, very hard to top that. Then there was also a huge shock as Carlow drew with Kilkenny 120 apiece in the same Leinster Championship that Dublin beat Antrim 332 to 118. So Dublin got a great win. Kilkenny were drawn against Carlow, and Carlow somehow held Kilkenny to a draw, which is extraordinary. Now, obviously, Carlow got that last minute free for Martin Kavanagh. Eddie Brennan tweets on it here. He says, Carlow full value for a draw, not trying to take from it, but can somebody clear up if the decision to award a free, throwing the ball into the stand when it was a sideline is legit? It is, Eddie. So Tom Phelan threw the ball into the stands. The rule states that that is the same as trying to stop somebody or stand in front of somebody when they are taking the free. It is the same. So Tom Phelan was silly for doing that. He will feel silly for doing that. And to be honest, I like to see them clamping down on that because it has crept into the game. So you like to see it being pushed back away. He shouldn't have done it. He's learned the hard way. Kilkenny have learned a lot the hard way over the weekend. Killian Doyle, of course, making his debut and gets a red card. Shouldn't have hit out a Chris Nolan like that. And for Carlow, it's a monumentous day. And Neil McManus weighed in on the Saturday game. So the highlight show, he says, the former Antrim hurler Neil McManus urges the GAA to grow the top tier of hurling, to allow teams like Carlow to build on their impressive performances after holding Kilkenny in the Leinster Championship. I think it's definitely something to look towards because you look at like Westmeath and they beat Wexford and everything like that, and then they went down to the John McDonagh and they've had a rough start to the John McDonagh, and that speaks more so, in my opinion, to how the level of the John McDonagh Cup has just gone up. That like it used to be a thing that whoever went down to the John McDonagh bounced straight back up, whereas now it's a real scrap to get out of there. Laois went down a few years ago. They've failed to get out since. This year they look like they will, but it's taken them time. Westmeath went down last year after beating Wexford, and they've started really poorly, and they need a result badly. So it speaks to how the standard is getting higher around the board, which is better. It's good news, and it's better for anybody who plays the game of hurling that the standard is getting better. Now, from hurling on to football, there was obviously the Leinster Championship, and there was a bit of a dull atmosphere in Croke Park at the start. Aaron Prendergast, a good friend, Gael against Fan TV, he said, Leinster final day is here, an occasion for the ages, and then he has a photo of what is a fairly empty Croke Park. And I mean, that's just the consequences of knowing the end results. I was on the GA Hour today with Dan Casey and Aaron Prendergast. Big shout out. That episode is out now on Spotify. Go give it a listen if you have not. It's a really, really good episode. But and I'm not being biased saying that Dan and Aaron did all the heavy lifting. But anyway, the truth is that once you know the end result, it's harder to attract the fans. It's like trying to sell out a movie theatre to a movie that everybody has already seen. And this is what we feel like with the Leinster Championship. We feel like we've already been here before. Dublin are going to batter everyone. That's why people were so overwhelmingly surprised that Louth did well against Dublin. That's why people were so overwhelmingly surprised that Louth got within 4 points of Dublin. That's why people are talking about it being potentially the shock of the weekend, even though they lost by 4 points. That's how much of a stranglehold Dublin have had on the Leinster Championships 2010. The last time Dublin lost in Leinster, I was 9 years old. I'm now 22. So that gives you a good perspective of how much of just a lifetime it's been since Dublin lost the game in Leinster. Colin Parkinson weighed in on the game here. He says, Louth doing a Roscommon on it, holding the ball and using the goalie, conceding all kickouts. As a big underdog, nothing wrong with it. And you could see that right from the start with Roscommon. With Louth, that they had very much taken a leaf out of Roscommon's book, that anytime they had the ball, it was slow it down, take the sting out of the game, make sure Dublin don't build up ahead of momentum and everything like that. And look, the truth is they did it really, really well. They hung onto the ball really well. They made very little mistakes, and Dublin definitely were frustrated by them, and Dublin found it hard to put them away for good. I think it was only the Conor O'Callaghan goal where I was like, okay, that's it. And it's unfortunate that it came from a mistake. But you have to give massive credit to Louth, man. Absolutely smashed it. Came up with a game plan. Knew what they were doing. Sam O'Roy was fantastic. Conor Grimes was absolutely immense. Niall Sharkey. These lads ran their legs into the ground. They deserve huge credit. And they can leave Croke Park with their head held high. No doubt about it. The Tailteann Cup also started over the weekend. We had some big results. Kildare getting off to a good start. Beating Longford by a huge tally. Sligo winning as well. Down winning. Fermanagh winning. All of the teams tipped by many to top their groups, all won. Offaly lost by 14 points at home to London. That's probably the upset of the weekend for me. The fact that London beat Offaly by 14 points in O'Connor Park to get their first championship win since 2013. awfully are lucky that a lot happened over this weekend, because that's just got swept under the carpet. What on earth has happened there? That, like, you've gone from beating Laois in the Leinster quarterfinal to losing by 14 points at home to London at the same venue. Real head scratcher. Like, that's from looking from the outside in. Colin Parkinson weighed in on the Ulster final then. So this was after Donegal had won the Ulster title. He said, McGuinness on the secret to Donegal's success. It's everything. It's every night. It's standards. It's how you train. It's your focus. It's your energy levels. It's sacrifice for their families. All that plays a big part. Then you have to come together and say, do I want to do this or not? It's a culmination of months and months and months of work. And that is it with McGuinness, is that he pushes players and he pushes teams to a level that they never thought that they could go to. And that's one of the things that's very interesting when you look at sports psychology. A lot of people, Gary Neville spoke about it as well when he was at Man United, that when he got dropped out of the team, he worked harder than he'd ever worked in his life to get back into the side. A lot of UFC fighters swear by it as well, that it's this type of thing that your confidence comes from your preparation. Donegal's confidence comes from their preparation, that they can look at themselves honestly in a big game and say, we know that we have worked harder than you. We know we have done more and sacrificed more than you. And like UFC fighters, boxers all swear by it, that if they know they've gone through the ringer more than their opponent, they know that they're ready to go further than their opponent has. And like Kamaru Usman was one of my favorite UFC fighters that spoke about it, that he was saying, you're not willing to go to the places I'm willing to go to get this win, in terms of his dedication, commitment, everything like that. And McGuinness will run Donegal into the ground, and he already has, and you can see the footage from like his training sessions with Donegal when he took over in 2010. I would not have wanted to take part in those training sessions. I would not have had the minerals, shall we say, to last one of those training sessions. But yeah, so guys, that is the episode 11 of Social Media Reacts. Thank you so much to anybody who has tuned in. Thank you very much to Capture Athletics for their sponsorship of this episode once again. I really enjoyed this one. It was a crazy weekend of action. Make sure to check out the weekend review that I did yesterday with Matthew Hurley on the channel, the Gaelic Statsman. Big shout out to him. Make sure to check out the GAA Hours latest episode as well. I am featuring on it. So please give that a 5-star review. Share it. It really helps. Share this channel as well. That really helps too. Or if you want to comment down below, I will respond to all of them as well. So guys, thank you so much for getting involved. Until the next episode, guys, here on Cluiche. Thank you very much to Capture Athletics for sponsoring this video as well. Until the next one, Torara.